Look at your life. A graveyard of half-finished projects, guitar in the corner collecting dust, half-coded website you abandoned, baking tools you swore you'd use, a sudden urge to learn jujitsu, and you feel a very specific type of shame. Society has a word for you: dilettante. They tell you you're chaotic, that you lack the grit to specialize. You feel like an imposter because you can't just pick one lane and stay in it. You know the phrase they use to shame you: jack of all trades, master of none. And you use it to beat yourself up every single day. But you're forgetting the rest of the quote. The full quote is, a jack of all trades is a master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one. Psychology suggests that this feeling of being scattered isn't a defect. It is a symptom of a highly adaptive nervous system. You aren't failing to specialize. You're unconsciously building a rare cognitive architecture, the M-shaped mind. While the world screams at you to focus, your brain is trying to prepare you for a future where hyperspecialization is actually a liability, a death sentence. Your chaos is a survival strategy, and I'm about to prove it. The lie they sold you. To understand why you feel this anxiety, we have to expose the lie you were sold. For the last century, the world was an I-shaped game. It rewarded people who dug one hole a mile deep. It was a kind learning environment. Like golf, the rules never changed. Practice your swing for 10,000 hours and you win. Simple, predictable, safe. But here is the problem. You don't live in a kind environment. Your brain instinctively knows that the modern world is a wicked environment. The rules change every day. Industries collapse overnight. Technologies become obsolete. Careers vanish. In a wicked environment, the specialist is fragile, brittle. If the industry changes, they're obsolete, unemployable, terrified. Because of this, you naturally drift. One year, you're obsessed with electrical wiring and HVAC systems. The next, you're deep into yoga, heavy lifting, and Jing rave music. To an outsider, this looks like a chaotic personality. They call you unfocused, a strange wanderer, someone who can't commit. But what you're actually doing is gathering data points from disparate domains, building a mental library no specialist will ever have. This is where the magic happens. Far transfer, your secret weapon. Psychology calls this far transfer. The specialist uses near transfer. They solve problems they've seen before using the same old tools, the same narrow lens. But you use far transfer. You take a concept from one completely unrelated field and apply it to another. Think about the web developer who used to be a beekeeper and a farmer. On paper, those things have nothing to do with coding, nothing. But that agricultural experience allows them to understand organic systems and growth cycles in a way that a specialist coder who only stares at screens could never grasp. They aren't just writing code, they're cultivating an ecosystem. That is far transfer. That is innovation. That is why companies secretly hunt for people like you. You feel like an imposter because you aren't the best at any one thing, but you're failing to see that your value isn't in your depth, it is in your synthesis. The connections you make that others can't see. The crushing weight of being behind. Understanding that your curiosity is a superpower is a great relief, but it doesn't solve the immediate crushing problem, the burnout, the feeling of being behind in life. You see people your age becoming senior vice presidents, lead engineers, directors, and you feel like you're still at the starting line. Because you keep switching tracks, starting over, reinventing yourself. This happens because you're misunderstanding the geometry of your own potential. You aren't T-shaped, general knowledge with one specialty. You're M-shaped. An M-shaped person has multiple pillars of depth, connected by a bridge of curiosity. But here is the trap that destroys most people like you. You cannot build all the pillars of the M at the same time. If you try to learn data science, write a novel, start a business all in the same month, you will collapse. Guaranteed. The people who successfully navigate this life, the true polymaths, practice what we call serial mastery. Serial mastery, life in seasons. You have to view your life in seasons, not as one continuous sprint. You might spend your 20s obsessing over music and art. Then, in your 30s, you pivot to programming to pay the bills. You didn't quit art. You just finished that season of construction. I saw a story of a 53-year-old who finally found peace with this. He realized he couldn't choose art over programming, so he let programming be the pillar that paid the bills, while music, philosophy, and game design flourished. As the other pillars on nights and weekends, he denied high-demand team lead positions to keep his work week at 30 hours. He protected his psychic energy, his mental bandwidth, his creative reserves. He didn't try to merge them all instantly. He let them exist sequentially, and eventually they all merged into his own personal video game projects. That is the M shape in action. Not chaos, strategy, redundancy, your evolutionary advantage. There is one final psychological trait you have that makes you bulletproof, and it comes from evolutionary biology. It is called redundancy. In nature, redundancy is a strength, not a waste. Elephants rarely get cancer because they have massive genetic redundancy, multiple copies of the same cancer-fighting gene. If one fails, another takes over. Your chaotic interests are your redundancy, your insurance policy against a rapidly changing world. If you're just a specialist software engineer and AI takes your job, you're terrified, paralyzed, broke. But if you're a software engineer who also knows how to do electrical wiring, fix HVAC motors, and teach English, you're unbreakable. You haven't been wasting your time dabbling. You've been engaging in strategic adaptability, building a safety net of skills that ensures no matter what happens to the economy, technology, or the job market, you have a pivot ready, multiple escape routes, multiple income streams, multiple identities. The graveyard is a university, so stop apologizing for your graveyard of hobbies. Those weren't failures. They were semesters in the university of your own making. Every abandoned guitar taught you rhythm. Every half-coded website taught you systems thinking. Every baking experiment taught you precision. You were never meant to be just one thing. You were built to be the bridge between worlds that others can't even see, the translator between disciplines, the pattern matcher, the synthesizer, while specialists dig deeper into their narrow holes. You're building a network of interconnected knowledge that will be invaluable in the chaotic decades ahead. The uncomfortable truth. But here is the part that'll make you uncomfortable. Most people watching this will feel validated for about 10 minutes. They'll nod along, feel seen, maybe even tear up a little. Then they'll go back to apologizing for their scattered interests. They'll keep trying to fit into the specialist mold society demands. They'll keep feeling shame for their curiosity. Because validation without action changes nothing. The question isn't whether you understand you're M-shaped. The question is whether you'll protect that structure. Will you defend your 30-hour work week? When they offer you the promotion, will you say no to the specialist career path that pays more but kills your curiosity? Will you embrace sequential mastery instead of trying to do everything at once? Or will you keep trying to be something you're not? Keep forcing yourself into an I-shaped box. Keep suffocating your greatest advantage. Most people will choose the box because the box is familiar. The box is what everyone else does. The box comes with a clear career ladder and a job title people understand at parties, but the box is a trap. And deep down, you already know that. The real question is, will you have the courage to stay M-shaped in an I-shaped world? If you're ready to embrace your M-shaped future, drop a heart emoji in the comments. Show me you're putting it all together. And if you want the deep dive research on how to structure your seasons and build your pillars without burning out, subscribe and check out the newsletter community. In the description, your chaos is your superpower. Stop apologizing for it.